Up with the money desk and Devon Murugan. Sadly, not a great day for manufacturing, is it?
No, and we need the sector to do well, Yuveka, because we need the jobs. And if you take a closer look, you'll find that the manufacturing sector is at a 10-year low as far as activity is concerned. And I said earlier, the reason why we need this to really come up is because it harbors 1.6 million jobs. It contributes about 12% to the country's GDP. So whenever we have numbers and surveys around this particular sector, we watch carefully. Now, you look at the latest APSA Manufacturing Purchasing Index, we see that that index dropping to 45.7 points in August. What does that mean? It means that the manufacturing activity is contracting. In fact, it's at a 10-year low. The data is an indication of policy uncertainty, perhaps dwindling business confidence in the country. Aside from sustained weak local demand, the poor South African manufacturing figures come against a backdrop of growing concerns about the health of the global economy, and in particular South Africa's trading partners, Europe, which many of our finished goods go to. Now, the dismal picture means that it's unlikely that the manufacturing sector will create a meaningful number of jobs soon. So, Executive Director of the Manufacturing Circle, Philippa Rodseth, joins me now. Your manufacturing sector representing dozens of manufacturers, 1.6 million jobs, that's what it harbors. Why is it so uninspired at the moment? I mean, we are at activity levels at a 10-year low.
Manufacturing is very linked to the economy. And one of the main factors that we're seeing at the moment is low domestic demand and low global activity. If we've got weak demand for manufactured product, that impacts directly on the amount of output. There are various other issues, both on the supply and the demand side, but one of the fundamental issues that we're facing at the moment is weak demand for manufactured products.
And that's a direct consequence of this economy not growing at a rate that we would want it to grow. We've got the ruling party's NEC giving us a briefing tomorrow about what they think of the National Treasury's growth strategy for the country. You'll be watching that quite keenly, wouldn't you?
We will. And the Manufacturing Circle has provided its inputs into the economic plan.
Yeah.
And we are, in essence, supportive of the fact that industrialization in a competitive way to create increased growth and exports is fundamental to growing this economy. There are also pragmatic steps, and there's a focus on blockages that need to be addressed in order to unlock increased growth.
Do you think it will get the support and get off the ground sooner than later, the plan?
We hope so. If we look at the statistics of the data and the output, we don't have the luxury of time. What is important for the plan is obviously consultation and to make sure that various views are heard, because that then will look to effective implementation and refinement. But it's, in our view, a very important step that deals with pragmatic views, a practical approach, implementation-driven, and that's the kind of approach that we need to apply now because, quite frankly, we're running out of options and time.
So one of the factors that were hovering around the mines, the manufacturers, was this issue of policy uncertainty. And then we've had a couple of months past now since we had a change in leadership on top. Has that certainty changed in any way? Because on the one hand, you'll get people saying, well, look, the manufacturers and businesses should really start pulling out the money and pushing it into the economy. They're unsure, they're uncertain. Can you see that changing?
What we are starting to see is more emphasis on discussion between industry and government, talking from the manufacturing perspective, from the industry perspective, and more focus on a collaborative approach, which is absolutely critical, and also an emphasis on master plans. So getting into the detail as to what is required in various areas and sectors, because we can't have a one-size-fits-all approach to everything, but we need to understand what is it that our policymakers and government can do to create an enabling environment, and then what is it that's industry and labour need to do to unlock these opportunities to change our economy. So we're certainly seeing a change in the way in which dialogue is taking place, the start of that, and also there's not a silver bullet. Policy certainty and stability is absolutely critical, particularly in the manufacturing sector, where you've got to have a long-term outlook.
Yeah.
If you're investing in capital, equipment and plant, that needs a long-term view, and for that, that's very, very important. So that's at the top of the list, and it remains there.
Philippa, thanks very much indeed.